Politicians and activists are gathering around the world here in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt for the UN's annual conference on climate change, or COP27. More than ever, the UN is urging people to move away from gas and coal to more sustainable and renewable sources of energy, such as solar and wind power. The International Renewable Energy Agency, which has more than 160 member countries, is trying to help that transition take place. I'm Andrew Hopkins, and I've been speaking to its Director General, Francesco one-on-one. Francesco, thank you very much for talking to TRT World. A lot of the world's attention at the moment is on the conflict in Ukraine and the energy crisis that has come from this. A lot of industrialized, developed countries are now looking for alternative energy sources, but they're not too bothered about whether they're fossil fuels or not, how much greenhouse gases are being created. They just want to get through the winter, have enough energy for that. So how can you get your message across against this backdrop that's going on at the moment?
So first of all, thank you for having me here today. And naturally, this is the question of today's. How the Ukrainian crisis may impact the energy transition. In responding to your question, I think it's good to make clear that we have to distinguish between the short and the medium long term. So naturally, in the short term, governments are working for ensuring the basic services, heating, cooling for their own citizens. So they are working to get way to substitute the gas that is coming from Russia. What is important in this period, that's at least what we are seeing, that they are not really investing in new fossil fuel capacity. They are trying to enhance their capacity to make the best use of what they have. What is important that in this period, they don't invest because this may become stranded assets. Naturally, there will be two forces in the short term. One is trying to get new sources of fossil fuels. The other one is that the difference of price between renewables and fossil fuel are increasing. So because of the high price of fossil fuel. So this also is a mechanism that in the short term will try to compensate the negative impact of the transition. But it's our thinking that in the medium long term, this will bring to a strong acceleration of the energy transition for very simple reasons. So, renewables has been considered good for being in line with the Paris Agreement goal, good because clean, good because it's economical, good because bring more jobs than traditional investment. But now there is a very strong argument. 80% of countries in the world have discovered that they are dependent from fossil fuel imports, and now they can be weak in front of a crisis like that. So they are moving to a more decentralized system where they can become independent. And this will be a great push to renewables because everyone, more or less, they have a capacity to go for renewables.
A lot of governments are worried about changing from fossil fuels to renewable fuels because they think maybe if they're going to shut down their coal power stations, lots of people will lose their jobs and it will affect their chances in elections. So how do you deal with this problem? What words of assurance can you give these governments about making this transition?
First of all, at the end, going for renewables, and there will be a net gain in terms of jobs. We made very clear, 38.2 million of new jobs by 2030 if we go for the energy transition. We will lose around 12 million. So the net gain is evident. Socially, there is no comparison between the old system and the new system. So naturally, and also we are not concentrating on focusing on what has to be shut down. We focus on what has to be built for having the new energy system in place. Logistics. We need grids. We need interconnected grid. We need flexibility. We need balanced grids for making the new world. Also, when we build the old energy system, we build the logistics for that. Port, ships, pipelines. Now we have to do the same for the clean energy system that is coming, because it is coming.
Director General, thank you very much.